Hey everyone, we'll wait just a few moments before we begin our broadcast to give everyone a chance to start watching. So if you would please stand by. If you're tuning in right now, we ask that you would like and comment on the video below. Just say hey, we'd like to know you're there, and if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and start asking questions about our topic today, or any questions because they may be used for a future broadcast. So I see that we have people jumping on. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Aloha and welcome everyone. You're watching AWN TableTalk live on Facebook. This is our very first live broadcast, and we're excited to be able to connect with you through this medium. AWN TableTalk is broadcasting live from Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. It's about 9:30 here in the morning, so I think that makes it about 2:30 on the East Coast. We're so glad you joined us today. So first off, let's take a few moments to introduce ourselves so you can get to know us better. My name is Niehoff, and I'm the owner and commander here at Army Wife Network. My husband is an Army chaplain and stationed at Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, where we arrived back in July of last year. I'm joined today on AWN Table Talk by Wendy, Baird, Packard. Hey, Wendy.
Good morning.
Why don't you say hi and tell us a little about yourself?
Great. Thank you again for having us. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Wendy Baird Packard, and I have been a military spouse with the Army for about 8 years. This is our third duty station, and we've been here about 2 years, just coming up on our 2-year anniversary.
Awesome. Well, we're so glad you're here today.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
And also joining us and helping out with our Facebook page is Tracy Hargis. Hey, Tracy.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me to join you today. My name is Tracy Hargis, and I've been a military spouse for 26 years. My husband was prior enlisted and is now a chaplain. We are enjoying an awesome assignment here in Hawaii, with this being our 8th duty station.
Wow. Well, awesome. Thank you. So thrilled you both were able to join me today. We're going to have some fun. Yes. And viewers, we would love it if you would like and share this video with your friends. And please take a moment to tell us where you're tuning in from in the comment section below this video. Tracy will be reading some of them off, and we'd love to say hi to you.
Yes, we got Sarah from Germany.
Wow.
Hi,
Sarah. We have a lot of people here.
Awesome. This is great.
We have Shelly from Fort Bliss.
Hi, Shelly.
And
Fort Bliss in the
Cindy
house.
from North Carolina.
Awesome.
And hi from Fort Bliss, Shelly. Yes, I got her. Hi from Fort Bragg.
Awesome. North Carolina in the house.
Yes. A lot from Fort Bragg, New Jersey. We got some more Fort Bliss and Fort Bragg.
Wow, awesome. Great. So glad you're here, or you're tuning in.
Fort Carson.
Fort Carson. That's where we just came from. Yeah. Spent a little time there.
Anyone from Fort Hood? That was where I came from before we moved to Schofield. So
Cindy from Fort Meade, Teresa.
Oh, awesome.
Spear from JBER.
Awesome.
Alaska?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. I think so. Yeah.
So, well, our topic for today's chat is avoiding isolation and connecting with others. So if you have a question for us, we ask that you begin posting them below now. We do have some already that have come in that we'll be answering in just a moment. But first, Wendy and Tracy, have you found that isolation is something that you've experienced as military spouses?
Definitely have experienced isolation. It's very hard when you move somewhere and you tend to isolate yourself because you don't know what to do, or you don't know where to go, or you don't know what to join, or it's just hard to meet new people.
It is.
Yeah, and if it's your second duty station, you kind of are still mourning all the friends that you left behind. And so you're like, oh, I miss the people that I connected with, and I don't know if I'm ever going to make those same connections again. How could I possibly have better friends than I just made at the duty station I was at? And so that's a huge challenge, to kind of pick yourself up, get going again. You will make those really strong connections again, and you keep the old ones.
Mm-hmm.
You still use those people as your battle buddies, and you still call on them. And that helps me a great deal, especially when we came to an island. We were very, very isolated on an island, and we had to start way over. So I feel like if you're in the States, sometimes you're a little closer, but when you got to an island, it was very, very far away, and it felt very isolating. And so you just felt thousands of miles away from the people that you had already connected with. But it was very important to stay connected to those as you made new friends too.
That's so true. And up until we came to Hawaii, I had always been on the mainland. Mm-hmm. And so it feels like it's a bit of another culture here. So if you're tuning in and you are stationed overseas somewhere, tell us where you're stationed, and how did you handle moving to a new place? How did you avoid isolation? Maybe you could give someone that's overseas, Oconus, some tips, because that is kind of a special scenario there. So, and to find ways to make friends and not feel so isolated, especially when you are far away. I mean, technology is great, but it doesn't replace that in-person hug or, someone to be there when you need something.
I think too, Crystal, just realizing that we all feel it. And so we're kind of all in it together as military spouses. And so that minute you land in the new place and you're like, I'm the new kid. Well, probably a week from then, somebody else is going to be the new kid too. And so reaching out for those new people that are doing the same thing, we all feel that isolation. So reaching out to new people sometimes is a way to get out of it quicker.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we have some questions that have already come into Table Talk. So let's begin with one from Amy. Amy says, I struggle with going to new places by myself, so it makes meeting new people hard. How do you overcome the anxiety of going somewhere alone? Oh, I can identify with that. Yes. As an introvert myself, I know Tracy's a fellow introvert, and I personally, that is a huge struggle. That could have been me writing that, because it doesn't matter how many times you PCS, how long you've been in as a military family, you get the routine down, I guess, but it's still a struggle to even go to PWOC or go to the spouses club because you don't know anybody, and so what is some advice that you would give her?
A lot of times too, with your units that your husbands are in, with the FRG, I know a lot of times the FRG can have a bad rap or whatever, but you still can meet somebody and you can still have that connection with somebody so that you're not feeling alone. You can have somebody to talk to even through your FRG or whatever. But those are some things that I would suggest if you don't like PWOC or if you don't like these other organizations. But you just need to find something within yourself to just get out and just go do it.
And I think too, for me personally, it helps if I find somewhere to volunteer.
Yes.
Because then I feel like I have a purpose for being there. So somehow it makes it less fearful, or it makes me less anxious to say, okay, I'm here to volunteer for this. So at the USO or Homefront United or something like that. So I would suggest, if that is you, to find somewhere to volunteer and start that way. And you always make friends where you volunteer. It just seems like when you share that common heart and passion that you find someone you have something in common with.
I agree. Yeah, I completely agree with both of those comments. I think that it's just a given that at any time you transition, it's going to be new. And we always think the big game for my family is how long will it take till we know someone in the commissary? So because you always walk in the commissary the first time and you're like, oh, I don't know anybody. But like 4 months later, you're like, oh, I know that person. Or, oh, why did I wear this to the commissary? I should have dressed better because now I know people.
That's one of the great things about being new. You could go into the commissary or the place, no hairspray, no makeup on, and you're good.
And so it just takes a little bit of time, and you will always meet somebody. You will always know someone. It, like Tracy was saying, you have to kind of just take a big, deep breath. Yep. And something that I always recommend is, like the ladies have suggested, is to get involved. And it doesn't mean you have to stay involved in every organization, but just go test the waters. That's and, I stay for a couple of weeks, and if this is my niche, then I stay a little longer, and you meet people and you feel comfortable. Right. And some organizations I've been to and said they're great organizations, they're just not my niche. And so don't be afraid to try things and then, step away and go, that's maybe not it. It is always, always hard. You pull in the parking lot and you're in the car and you're by yourself and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And then you're walking in and you're like, oh, I still don't know if I can do this. But you just keep walking in, and then you sit at the table and go, oh, I'm here, I'm doing this. And just take those little steps a little bit at a time. And I think it's really amazing, like we've just talked about volunteering, because you will always be in a like-minded situation. So if I'm volunteering for something I really, really love, the chances are the people around me are also loving the same thing. So we already have something in common, and that really helps, because then we have something we can discuss and something in common where we don't have to delve into all our personal stuff right in the beginning. We can just slowly get to know people through the volunteer work. And I also recommend for the isolation piece, volunteer for something on post or with the military. That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. But there's all these great community outreaches out in our communities. And so I always try to volunteer for something on post and something off, because you can make those connections that don't move away in those outside volunteer positions. And it feels like there's a sense of stability then when you can do that.
Mm-hmm. I have a lot of comments here. Awesome. Some have volunteered at a dog rescue.
Perfect.
Ooh, and also play groups or kids sports are a great place to meet.
Oh, kids sports are great.
Yes. Awesome. And another question we have here: what tips can you offer to shy military spouses to prevent isolation?
Ooh,
that's really hard.
I believe it. This stretches me. Do things. One thing that I do, because I am shy at first. They can verify that, but is do things that stretch yourself, that stretch you, get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Volunteering helps again. For me, that's probably one of the first things I do is I look for one place to volunteer, just because I feel like I have a purpose there, and I don't have to go and make chit chat and small talk. I can go and they're going to say, hey, we need you to do XYZ. And so then I feel like I have a job. And then as I meet somebody, I feel a little easier talking to them. And then the other thing I do, and the longer you are a military spouse, you'll realize that once you get orders and you know that you're going somewhere, you can start to do a recon virtually of the area. And okay, who do I know? Do I know anybody that's stationed there or that has been stationed there that can connect me with someone else there? And so I already knew a couple of people before I got here. One was because one was the wife of my husband's sponsor, and she met us at the airport, and I just went up and immediately hugged her. I just felt like I knew her so well because we had communicated back and forth, and we were just instant friends. So connecting with people beforehand, getting in spouses' Facebook groups and getting a feel of the area. So
spouses Facebook groups are really good to, like she said, to kind of start connecting with people that are already there. I think that is definitely helpful. Mm-hmm. Have you had that experience?
Yes. Then also, how do you overcome the anxiety of it all?
So I am not an introvert, so these ladies have really great insight on that. But there is always still anxiety, and it's really just baby steps. I believe that it's just one step at a time. And this is going to sound kind of crazy, and I can't speak for like the Germany folks and things like that, but any place that I've been, there's always been a Walmart, which seems kind of silly. But I always go to Walmart within the first week because it's familiar and all Walmarts look alike.
I do that.
And it's sort of like, okay, Walmart feels right to me, which sounds so ridiculous, but it helps you feel like
with you.
Right.
Yes,
you have a grounding point and you're safe because you've been there. And so it kind of helps with, if I can just get out and get to Walmart in this week, then I'm taking that step. And then maybe next week, as you start to get used to the community, I always think a great way to kind of get out and not have to stretch as far as, your anxiety is take a lesson or do something new. Mm-hmm. So when we were in Colorado, I learned to ski. While we're here, I'm learning to paddleboard. And so it's an activity that I'm going to learn to do. And then you can meet people through that way. And I feel like there's no pressure. I'm just learning something new. So try and take in wherever you're at, whatever the culture is, like you were saying, ahead of time and say, you know what, I'm going to be stationed here, so I'm going to go there and learn how to do this. And then it takes that pressure off of, I'm going to go there, I have to make friends, how do I know what to do? You're just going to learn a skill and you're going to go to Walmart and you're going to be better. You're going to be okay. It'll start you off that way. So that can help.
I didn't realize I was doing that, but I do that because I come from a small town and that's like the hub.
Right.
Everybody goes to Walmart.
Yeah.
So that's familiar to me. So when I'm needing some familiarity, I go to Walmart.
Go to Walmart.
Funny? Or Target.
Yes, or Target. Yeah.
I have a lot of people agreeing with the whole volunteering for places, even if they're off post or on post. So
awesome.
Yeah.
It's also great if you are maybe not working now, but you're going to want to go to work. And this is a whole different topic, but it's really great resume builders is your volunteer work.
That would be that'd be a great show.
Good topic.
Talking about resume building, something I know that you are an expert at.
Yes, yep. I work for the Department of Labor, and that's what we do for transitioning soldiers. So another topic. Yeah.
And then I have a comment also for those who are overseas. If you don't have a Target or Walmart, you can go to IKEA.
Oh, nice. Yes, IKEA. Really good. That's a good one. Very familiar, something familiar.
So any more questions from our Facebook? I've got another one from the inbox. If not the point. So we'll move on to another one if you want to monitor that. Katrina asks, what's the best way to find out what's happening on your post and in the community around you? That's an excellent question. So any thoughts on that?
Wow. So
she's our information hub right here.
I'm not exactly sure where to start, but you can always, there's usually a transition office at your Army Community Services or ACS building. And you can go, and that's what we did before we came to Hawaii. And you can go in and they'll give you a packet about where you're going. And that starts to kind of guide you about housing and activities and cultural things. They even gave us a packet for Hawaii about the language and different things like that. So you can go to your ACS. They usually have a transition office to help you.
And a quick plug too is Army Wife Network has our famous Post with the Most series, and which we're also in the middle of updating. We have got a lot of new updates to post where we've had spouses that have weighed in and given us recommendations for nail salons and commented on the school system. And so we have links to spouses clubs and the Garrison pages. And so check that out on armywifenetwork.com and look for the Post with the Most, or click on PCS and find the Post with the Most series, and watch our Facebook because we're constantly updating those posts and with new posts and updating the older articles. So look for that.
Perfect.
And
that's a great resource. Yeah, really good resource because you can go out because there's so many posts out there to look at, and that really helps. Great resource. Yeah.
And how do you find out what's going on?
Personally, me, since my husband's a chaplain, a lot of times it's at the chapel, and a lot of times they'll post things through there. We'll know what's going on due to information that's given through the chapels. So,
true.
I mean, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be chapel related or anything. Even like family nights at your chapel or
Easter
whatever.
egg hunts.
Yes,
that type
Easter.
of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of garrisons have community exchange.
They do.
Hawaii now is actually broadcasting their community. What's that called? Community exchange. The monthly information gathering that they have. They now broadcast that on their Facebook page each month. So that would be another
great resource.
Yeah.
And if you know someone at the post, most bases have a little local newspaper.
Yes.
And you might have them send you one that week, and it'll kind of get you updated on what's going on and what events. So that's another resource too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then I have a question here from Sharita. What advice do you have for spouses at remote duty stations? That without normal post amenities like CYS and PWC, MWR, FRG, or the spouses who service members on a civilian-like assignment, such as recruiting to connect and not feel so isolated. And that is true. I've heard ladies talk about this for those that do like recruiting. Their husbands recruit, and they're not close to a post where, you know, we have all those nice amenities. But I know a couple friends who are doing that, but they just go off post and they find those same organizations, you know, through your school, sports through your schools, and
community rec centers.
Right.
YMCAs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
YMCAs.
So, I mean, you can do the same things off post. Yes, it's a little different, but you can still get yourself out there and look for things.
And if someone else has experienced that or is currently remotely stationed, feel free to chime in and give us some tips and advice in the comments section and share your insight with other spouses.
Yes.
So.
And we have somebody even from the Philippines today.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
The
Awesome.
Philippine Army.
Nice.
Oh, great.
That's
Great.
exciting. How cool.
Michelle, yes.
That's really
Hi,
cool.
Michelle. So glad you tuned in.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.
So we kind of covered Carla's question, but she is asking, I'm not really into the party scene or the PWOC type person either. What are ways I can make and meet friends? And we kind of went over that, but it's kind of the same community. There's a lot of non-religious organizations out there and you don't have to party. So I would suggest that getting involved in the local theater.
Oh, yes. Yes. Very cool.
Whether it's actually acting or behind the scenes, they often need people to help out behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I don't think Carla tells us if she has kids or not. I'm not sure.
Right.
But you can always volunteer at the school. The schools usually take, and that's a great way to kind of meet other parents, the PTOs and things like that. Again, you're there for the same purpose, and you get to know people kind of gradually that way.
And you brought that up. That's a good point. Even if you don't have kids, a lot of times they ask for people to just read to the kids or help out, or maybe volunteer for a local shelter, or and I had another thought, and
that's all right.
I wanted to mention also that here on Schofield they have a Stroller Warriors Facebook page, and I know a ton of ladies who have little kids and they do their little runs, and that's like a close-knit group too, and they all get together all the time. So it could be, you know, athletic, but you still have your little baby with you. So it's called Stroller Warriors. And I think Fort Bragg has that also.
And if you don't have children, or even if you do, you know, take a class, even if you're not looking toward getting a degree or necessarily furthering your education, take a class, you know, an art class or photography. Right. That's one thing I did right after I married my husband, is I picked up photography. And I found some groups and became active with them and met friends that way. And so it's just both on post and off. So that's a great.
Don't be afraid to meet your neighbors. I see it a lot. And it doesn't mean you have to be, you know, we don't know if we're going to click or connect with our neighbors, but it's a really, even in an emergency. So it's always, don't be afraid to reach out to your neighbors. Sometimes when you move into a new community, we sort of wait for our neighbors to reach out to us. Yes. And you could just as easily wave at them over the fence, or say hello, or just start a conversation in the driveway. And
so true.
Just making that little connection in your own community sometimes is the first step.
Take a walk, or leave a little goodie or a little note on their door.
Right.
I've seen people do that too.
I also see here for a military spouse who's for 25 years, she's a serious introvert, she says. She's at Fort Meade, Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
And she did the book club, ESC book club.
Oh, awesome.
And that's, she said, this is the first place I've been to that the ESC is on social media and uses it. So she joined the ESC book club.
Love that. Great idea. And
really good.
I'm a book lover.
There you
go. So that is awesome. So find what you love, and then find the group that you can get involved in. So
it might even be online. So something I'm experiencing now, the first time I've done this, is because we live on an island, there's a thing, and it's a real thing called island fever. And I started to feel a little bit of island fever, like, everywhere I go, there's water, and I'm feeling a little claustrophobic. And so I got online to see what cures were for island fever, ended up finding this really cool blog group that's a blog about women that live on islands. It's basically what it is. And so it's kind of cool to connect with people that just have similarities in that way too. So that was kind of a fun way too.
That's awesome. And if you find someone that you're nearby, meet at a coffee shop or down at the PX, a safe, neutral place. But that's another way of making friends.
Yep.
That's awesome. So JC wrote in to ask, and I think this is an excellent question because I've actually thought this recently myself. It feels like I will just make a good friend, and then either I move or she does. Has this happened to you, and how do you deal with it?
All the time, right? Ladies, all the time. Yeah, absolutely. And we are so blessed now to have social media. And we were just talking about this before we came on about having good friendships and really fostering those good friendships. And I had a friend recently say, thank you for investing the time in the friendship. And I thought that made so much sense. I have to put forth an effort to connect with people that I was stationed with 2 stations back or 1 station back or whatever. And that is so important to remember, to make those phone calls and stay connected. And then you still have friends. It's not like you don't have friends anymore just because you moved. You still have friends. You just have to reach out to them until you build your network that's next door. So it is heartbreaking sometimes, but they're just a phone call away.
And remember, it is a small army.
Small, big army.
You'll eventually run into people. I was surprised by those I ran into already here that I had known in previous posts. And this summer, I know another gal that's PCSing here, and I'm like, and she had posted on Facebook, and I'm like, hey, this is awesome. So I will be there to meet her at the airport if I can. So just connecting in ways like that, and not breaking connections, maintaining those, because you never know when you will meet up again.
And it's always good to talk to that old friend that you had, and it boosts your spirit just by talking to them, even over the phone.
Yes, yes, definitely. And like Wendy had said, we're all in this together, right? So we need each other. Any other questions?
Also, remember too, from Sarah, she's saying that if you find something that you want to do, then see if you can start your own group.
Oh, love that.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you, Sarah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good idea.
And
good advice.
Let's see here.
Okay. So I think we have 1 or 2 more questions.
Oh, I have a question here.
From
Courtney. Ideas for how to get in your self-care when your spouse is deployed.
We could touch on that, but that would also be a good topic for another show.
Yeah,
that's excellent.
That's a big
excellent. But do you have some self-care advice?
I do. We were just talking about this too the other day with a young spouse, and it is so important. If you have young children, find a really good babysitter and hire them once a week, and take that hour or 2 hours for yourself. It's so important. Or at the end of the day, when everything's quiet and calm, take a deep breath and do something for yourself. Do your nails, do your whatever, take a bath, read a book, but consciously make that time at the end of the day when it's quiet, and that is your you time. Don't necessarily run to pick up the toys or run to do the laundry. Right. Take that time. Wait. That will wait. Yeah, take that time. So
also, when my youngest was little, I didn't want. I know sometimes the deployment men get their free hours for childcare a month. I want to stress this so much. It's okay if you take your child to the child care development center. They will live. It'll be okay. They actually learn a lot. I was one of those spouses that didn't want to take my child in, but he did so well while my husband was gone, and the way they did everything there. This was at Fort Drum at the time, and but it just gave me that time where I could grocery shop by myself, or I could shop by myself. And to me, that was a big thing for me. And just to have my own time to take care of my own self, even if it was just going back home and cleaning the house.
Right.
In peace.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
And that just made me feel good about what I'm doing in my household. So, but just use those hours. If you have them, use them.
Right.
I mean, it's for you and it's for your own self-care. So
really important. Yeah.
We have time for one more question. And Lila asks, I have 2 kids under 3 and it's in the middle of winter. How can I keep from being stuck inside the house all day when it's too cold to go to the park?
Yes, we have been stationed at Fort Drum, and winter is there for a long time. And a lot of times I don't know if they do this anymore, but the gym would have a place where you could take your kids during the week. And they had the little tunnels for the kids to run through and little bounce house and all. And another big one is swimming. Mm-hmm. We would take our kids to the pool, indoor pool, and let them run their energy out there. So get them involved. Have swimming lessons, because you can move to Hawaii and they'll already know how to swim.
Right. So, you'll be able to step ahead of the game.
Learn that at Fort Drum when it was wintertime. But yes,
good indoor activities. Mm-hmm. YMCA would be another place.
Yes. I had a friend that would just once a week, she had 3 toddlers. Like they were like 2, 3, and 4. They were very small. And at Fort Carson, and she would just go to the local McDonald's.
Yes.
With the big playground, and she'd buy a large fry and an orange drink and set them free for an hour and a half. And that worked really well for her.
Yes.
And we also utilized the indoor pool tremendously in the winter. It was a huge gathering place for everyone to kind of get out of the house and do something.
And Amber is saying a good place too is the library. Take your kids to the library.
Yeah, excellent.
Amber, excellent.
Yes. So.
Really, really
and
good.
hi, Amber.
Yeah.
Who else? Do we have any others that joined that have left comments as to
museums? Take them to the museums in the winter.
Excellent. And a lot of times, is it Blue Star families, especially in the winter or in the summer, will have there's the free museum day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure exactly what that's called, but maybe the post there would have, like, through ACS or CYS, getting them involved in the different classes, toddler time, and things like that through CYS, chapels. Even if you're not directly affiliated with a chapel, a lot of times there will be children's programs and such that you can, Awanas and family night that you can get them involved in too.
ACS is a good first stop when you get to a post.
It is.
Because they have all the schedules for all of those things. It's a really good grounding piece too. After Walmart, but do that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. That's it for today. It's been so much fun. And thank you for watching and commenting. We hope you'll join us again in 2 weeks, Friday, February 16th at the same time, same place, right here on Facebook. In the meantime, tune in to Army Wife Talk Radio live each Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on blogtalkradio.com, or listen through our free downloadable AWN app or via the podcast catcher of your choice. And we would love it if you would like, comment, and share this video with your friends. AWN is your interactive empowerment for Army Wives by Army Wives. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.